Before I get into the interviews, I just wanted to thank everyone who participated in this video. I love doing all these interviews and just wanted to say thank you so much for helping out. Now, onto the video. Hi, my name is Marissa. I'm a senior at Maynard High School, and for my senior project, I decided to interview some minor league baseball players and the founder of Adopt a Minor Leaguer and see how baseball has affected them. But before I get into the interviews, the big question is, how has baseball affected me? Why would I make a video about how baseball has affected others when I didn't share how it affected me? Well, for starters, I grew up in a baseball-obsessed household. Somehow living in that household, I still wasn't a big fan of baseball. I didn't really follow it. I was kind of just a very casual fan, didn't really understand it. But in 2016, I finally decided, let's play softball. This sounds fun. I started to play it and fell in love. I finally understood the sport itself, and I finally appreciated baseball as a sport. We had season tickets at the Red Sox up until 2020. We also went to the winter weekend events that the Red Sox would hold. 2020 was when COVID-19 began. Because of COVID-19, my school got canceled, which meant that my spring softball season would also be canceled. To keep myself sane and to de-stress, I would hit softballs off of a tee in my front yard. This was up until a summer season was started where we could play but wear masks. In 2020, an organization called Adopt a Minor Leaguer was founded. At the beginning of this, we decided to start sponsoring 3 players, Brandon Walter, Carson Simas, and Dean Miller. Ever since then, we have sponsored 5 more players. These are Jonathan Brand, Zach Bryant, Mitch Longo, Brendan Villa, and Nate Tellier. Over the years since we've been sponsoring these players, they have become a second family to me. Instead of just watching baseball for the sport and watching for the stars, I just want to watch the game just to watch the game, as well as watch the game to support these minor leaguers who we sponsor. Because of Adopt a Minor Leaguer, I think this is why we decided to get season tickets for the Woo Sox, so we could maybe see these players go up throughout the leagues and get a chance to see them in Worcester. But ever since I started playing softball and getting interested in baseball, it hasn't only interested me, but it's also interested other people, such as my boyfriend, who I got to become a baseball superfan in the past couple years. I'm so happy baseball has been such an impact to my life. It truly has changed me as a person, and I know that in the future, it will keep affecting my life. So, finally, now on to the interviews. So, first of all, what is your name, and give a quick little introduction about yourself.
Well, my name is Michael Rivers. I am 42 years old and I live up in Minnesota. Always been a baseball fan most of my life. Been a Twins fan, even though my father was in the military, moved around a lot. He's from Minnesota, so I kind of always went after the Minnesota team. So I've always been a big fan.
My name is Brendan Vella. I played for the Boston Red Sox organization, looking to get repicked up. I was born in Fresno, California, and was raised in Chico, California. Been playing baseball since I was like 4 years old. Got into coaching when I was in high school, and that's what I plan to do afterwards. I was drafted out of a junior college in Reedley, California, called Reedley College, and I was drafted in 2021.
My name's Nate Tellier. I grew up in Attleboro, Massachusetts, and I played for the Boston Red Sox. I got signed as a free agent my COVID year. So 2020, there was only 5 rounds in the draft. So there's a lot of free agent signs that year. I went to UMass Dartmouth for college. I graduated that with a biology degree, and then I was lucky enough to sign with the Red Sox right after.
Zach Bryant, born and raised in Florida, played college baseball at Daytona State College, Jacksonville University, then got drafted by the Cubs in 2019, and then in 2021 was traded to the Boston Red Sox, and that's where I'm at now.
My name's Jonathan Brand. I'm a pitcher in the Boston Red Sox organization. I was drafted in the 8th round in 2022. I'm from Columbus, Georgia, born and raised there. Went to East Georgia State College for 1 year, and then transferred to Miami, Ohio for 3 years.
So what positions do you play?
I'm a utility, so I've played everything except for pretty much first base. When I was in the Red Sox organization, I played outfield, second, and third.
In college, I was a center fielder, but I got signed as a right-handed pitcher, relief pitcher.
Growing up, I played other positions, but that pretty much ended like sophomore year of high school. I became a pitcher only, which was a good choice because, it got me to where I'm at today.
I just pitch where I'm at now. I used to play both, but now I'm just pitching.
So what is Adopt a Minor Leaguer, And why did you decide to create it?
First question is pretty easy. Adopt a Minor Leaguer is a nonprofit that aims to help minor leaguers in need, whether it is setting up with sponsors, which are basically fans who sign up to send anywhere between 100 to 150 bucks worth of groceries, gift cards, money, etc., whatever the player needs, for the season. Other stuff we do is, we send them grants, give them gift cards for food, that kind of stuff, just to kind of help them out. Why that I got into this that's a bigger question. Basically, back in 2020, the start of 2020, my father was diagnosed with cancer, and it was stage 4. It was a kind of a hard time, put me in a dark place, and I needed something, to kind of lift my spirits. It was something. He was my inspiration. One day on Twitter, I had been following at that time Twins minor leaguer named Todd Van Steensel. He kind of went through his thread and kind of talked about what minor league life was like. And after reading it, I just realized how ignorant I was to kind of the life. Most of us, I believe, just kind of hear about the first round picks they make. They get signed for $5 million or whatever. You don't think about the guys that get drafted in the 25th, 30th round. You don't know about the senior sign who has no leverage and will get offered $1,000, or you can't play ball anymore, that kind of stuff. So I sent him a message, asked him if I could help, just send him like $50 on Venmo or something. And he reluctantly agreed. He was very appreciative of it. And then I asked, can I help any, like a teammate or two of yours? And then from there, I said, maybe other people want to do this. And so he helped me kind of reach out to, because he had a decent following on Twitter, through to the fans, and to he would vouch to other players who we would, come up to and say, hey, on Twitter, like, hey, do you need help? And he kind of would vouch for us to yeah, this isn't a scam. This isn't some weird thing. This is, something just genuine. Just it blew up. It became such a popular idea among Twitter that it blew up to the fact that people were like, man, you should make this into like a charity, a nonprofit or something. And I kind of did, I did. And then COVID happened, and then boom. I mean, we were really needed because guys, a lot of guys, especially in the beginning of COVID, were not getting paid. They were on contracts that wouldn't allow them to collect unemployment, and they couldn't go work anywhere because everywhere was shut down. So they needed us, and they needed the help of the fans. So we blew up from there. After he passed, we made the Scott Rivers Memorial Grant that we hand out to minor leaguers who are fathers, and we always give it out on the day he passed. So it's just something that I know he was very proud of. He loved the idea. He loved seeing kind of the company and the charity develop, seeing it on the news and stuff when we got interviewed, that kind of stuff. So it was a big thing for him, and he really loved it. So I wanted it just to kind of honor him.
How has the organization affected you?
Yeah, it really has not only opened my eyes to kind of the process that these guys go through, because I've talked to a lot of minor leaguers, and I've seen and I've heard what they go through, but it really has engulfed my life in baseball. Like, I was always a big fan of baseball, but now I'll go to minor league games a lot more. I don't think I had ever been to a minor league game before all of this. I go to minor league games all the time. I talk to players, meet up with some players here every once in a while. I've actually I a couple of players are I consider really good friends now. But it's just, it's also given me something to really be proud of, something that I made my mark that I'll always have with me, so it kind of separates me from the average man. It's just something I have that I'll always be able to say, hey, I did this, and even in some small way, I feel like I was responsible in helping minor leaguers get what they deserve.
What are your thoughts on Adopt a Minor Leaguer? And do you think it was helpful?
I love it. You guys helped me out a lot, and I saw a lot of other guys get helped out. It's crazy to hear some of the stories from previous players of how bad it has been, how much better it's gotten. And Adopt a Minor Leaguer was through that rough patch. I talked to Mike, and he said he might even start looking into disbanding it. And I was like, dang, that's tough. But that just shows that that program kind of told the MLB or the MILB how it needs to get better. It was pretty bad before. I had teammates where it was they weren't eating type stuff, eating enough at at least. Sunflower seeds isn't really cutting it. But yeah, it's like it's helped me a lot, helped out a lot of my teammates a lot. So I couldn't thank it enough. And I got to meet new people and get into a new part of my family. So I'm excited about that. You guys are part of the fam now. So I would have never had that if it never would have been a program. I think that like he built something pretty great as far as player wise. Like it can definitely still be a part of the game, and it's a big help.
So Adopt a Minor League was great. We're really grateful for everyone who helped, especially you guys. It's given us, one, a sense of camaraderie with you guys and all the people that you've adopted. It's helped us out in hard times. You guys always check in on us, so it's just another set of eyes looking out for us. So we really appreciate it. And yeah, I would suggest, if it keeps going, I'd suggest any minor leaguer to do it. It really gives a little helping hand when you need it.
I think it's great. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of guys in the minor leagues that don't really need help or think they don't need help, like they might not need it right now. Like I know, like back when I signed, I didn't really need it, but it's been some years and kind of that signing bonus kind of runs dry. It's a lot of help, and it's nice to kind of just have somebody in your corner, like if you need it. Like I hit up your mom probably a month or two ago, and I hated to ask for it. She sent me some money and it helped a ton, but I'm extremely grateful for it. So I think it's extremely helpful to a lot of guys, a lot of minor leaguers. I know like the pay increase is kind of going to make it a little less, like, I don't know, needed for some guys, but and there's obviously still guys with families with a wife and kids where the 25-30K they're making still isn't cutting it, because they gotta worry about paying rent, like back home where their wife and kids are, so where it's not going to be as needed for some, it's going to be just as needed for others.
I love it. I mean, it's really cool. It's allowed me to meet y'all and get to know you guys a little bit. It seems that they really do a great job with helping guys out with whatever they need, and it almost gives you like a little second family. So it's nice. It's definitely been helpful. If I ever need something, y'all are always a phone call away. It's definitely nice, and it's nice to get the little care packages that I get every once in a while and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely helped me out.
How do you think the new rule changes of the MLB will affect the minor leagues, if at all?
So we had the rule changes last year in terms of pitch clock and shifts and larger bases. I like it because I work fast as a pitcher anyways, so it hasn't really affected me, but it just cuts the guys who take forever to get in the box or take forever to throw another pitch. It just cuts that down and makes the game go a little faster. It's cut, I think, the average game down by 20 minutes. I haven't had a problem. We actually had like 5 or 6 time clock violations this week, mostly against the other team. But yeah, I don't mind them.
Personally, I'm not opposed to any of the changes that they made, but what I would like to see happen is get rid of all of them in playoffs. But like in season, 162 games, I mean, that's, even for someone that eats, sleeps, and breathes baseball, like myself and many other minor leaguers, I know a lot of us don't like watch baseball every day. They don't need to make playoff baseball more exciting. It's already exciting enough. I think these changes would hurt playoff baseball. Like, no one's complaining about that part of the season. They're complaining about Game 70, not the ALDS, CS, and World Series. No one's complaining about that.
Have you ever had any pitching violations?
The only times I've had them when there's a runner on second base and they have to put down multiple signs because we don't want the guy on second to steal our signs. So he puts down multiple signs, and when you shake off, they got to put down more, and it takes longer. So I got twice last year. I got called on it, but haven't done it since, knock on wood.
No, I've always worked pretty quick on the mound, so it's never really been much of an issue for me. But I know a lot of guys that tend to take their time up there, and I know it was a decent adjustment for them because I witnessed it last year. It never really was much of an issue for me.
No, I've not had a pitch clock violation. I work pretty fast. I don't take too much time, so thankfully I've not had a pitch clock violation or had someone like the hitter hadn't had a pitch clock violation against me either.
We were so shocked when you got released. What are you doing now? And what are your next steps?
I know I was doing well, and like I was told also it wasn't really performance based. It's more opportunity, like just in the timing of things. And I happen to be at a very stacked position. I've been in contact with like teams that I was in contact with before I got drafted. So all those same teams are interested. The teams that are the most right now are the Mets and the Phillies. I have some workouts to do with them, I believe. So I'll probably play out this last year. If I don't get picked up by an affiliated team, I'll go play indie ball. And if I still don't get picked up by the end of the year, I'm I'm gonna hang up the cleats. And why I say this year is because it's gonna end during summertime. Then after that, I can enroll into college. I got to go back still. I got to finish out. So I'm gonna go back to college, and I want to get into coaching. So I was looking into some of the bigger schools just so I'm a free coach because I'll be in the school. So all they have to do is let me on. One of the things that I negotiated for when I was getting drafted is they give you this pool of money just for school. And so I was looking right now, like a UCLA, an LSU, or like a Vanderbilt.
So has baseball ever affected you mentally?
Of course, there's going to be good days and bad days. When you pitch bad, especially as a pitcher, when you pitch bad, you'll go a couple days without being able to perform again. So you're just focusing on that. And when you pitch good and you're at a really high, but that's what's also helped me, because translates into life. If something bad happens, you can deal with it. Helps with that. I like the saying, this too shall pass. No matter what good or bad stuff happens, it will get better.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some ups and downs. I had surgery when I was a junior in high school. I had Tommy John surgery, and so that was pretty hard. It's pretty mentally tough to keep going through that, but it taught me a lot about like perseverance and how to keep going through hard times. And just because something's going good doesn't mean it's always going to go good, and just because something's going bad doesn't mean it's always going to be bad.
Has Tommy John affected you at all?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like nowadays it's not if I hurt my arm, it's kind of when, because everyone's throwing so much harder now. But I mean, it's definitely affected me because it's kind of kept me out of the game since basically last July. Last July is when it started bothering me. I think my last outing in game was the end of July. That basically ended my season, and they told me to rest it from then into about the time when everyone would start ramping up in the off season, starting their throwing program and everything. And everything was going well with that, and then it started to bother me again. And then so then I came back to Fort Myers. We tried to make it feel all right. It never really got better. And then had it feeling good enough to pitch in a game, pitched in one game, and then it just got right back to how it was at the end of my season last year. And so I got another MRI, and it was basically the same thing as last year, just worse. So, I had to get Tommy John. So it definitely affects me because never taken more than, 2 or 3 months off of the game, off of throwing. And now I got to do it for 13 months from my last game to my first game back. It'll be about 2 years.
Since you're on drive now, how does it feel to make it this far?
It feels good. Last year was not the best year for me in terms of pitching, and I was struggling. So I went to winter ball in Puerto Rico and figured it out. Spring training was very important for me. So I went in, and when the rosters finally came out and I made a team out of spring training, that was a very, very rewarding experience. It was, I feel like all the hard work I did in the off season paid off. There's a long way to go. I'm not going to stop here, but it's great.
So what's your daily schedule like?
I usually wake up around 10 or 11, get some breakfast in, call my family, call my girlfriend. I go to the field around 1:30ish, and then we eat, work out, stretch, do all that. We're on the field by 2:30 doing some daily work, and then we do some dynamic, throw a little bit. I like getting off the mound a little bit every day. Then we usually have conditioning and then team fundamentals, which is just ground balls and PFPs. Around 5 o'clock, it's BP. You go inside around 5:45. You have an hour and 15 minutes before the game starts. Get something to eat, get another stretch, take a shower, and then you're usually outside by 6:40. We watch the starting pitcher warm up, the anthem, and then the game starts. And then afterwards, we eat, we shower, we do some post-game rehab if we want to, and then we get back here around 11, 12-ish and start that over again. Living the dream. Wouldn't want to do anything else.
Most days is wake up around 7 or so in the morning and drive to the facility. You get there, depends on the day, but usually just get there, eat breakfast, and then change into my stuff for the day. By that time, it's usually around 8-ish, and I'll head into the training room and get my daily work in that I need to there. And then after that, I'll head into the weight room and do some kind of stretching out and do some activation, and then I'll lift and get a good workout in. And then after that, we usually have throwing, and so they'll stretch us, and then we throw. And then some days we have like a team defense type thing. We'll just head back into the clubhouse, eat lunch, and then go out to the game. Usually a game every day around noon down here. And so if I'm in the game, obviously I'd be out there a little sooner, but if I'm not, then just stay, watch the game, then come home and do whatever I feel for the rest of the day.
Before you got Tommy John, what was your typical schedule like?
I'd wake up, I'd make breakfast, I'd play some PlayStation until it was time to go to the field. Try to get to the field. Like, say if it was like, I want to say in Portland, that if it was like a 7 o'clock game, we'd get there at like 12 or 1. Then we'd go up, we'd take care of like, whatever mobility we had to do, whatever lifting we had to do, work with the trainers on like, doing some arm care, whatever we had to do in there. And then we'd go out, we'd do our own stretching, our daily throwing and some conditioning. And then after that, it was pretty much go in and get ready for the game, eat some more food. Or like, if we had like a beginning of the week meeting, like scouting report meeting or a meeting with, mental skills or the nutritionist, whoever's in town, that's when we take care of the meetings and whatever else. Pick a game, get out of there by 11, eat dinner, go home, wake up, do it again.
So we all know that the minor leagues just got unionized. So what are your thoughts on the unionization?
That's great what happened. We'll be treated better. Over the past couple of years, we've been increasingly treated better and better. I can't imagine the minor leaguers 10 years ago, what they would have gone through. They would have had to pay for their own housing on a wage you can barely afford housing on and all that. It's nowhere to live. So these rules will help ILB players focus on playing rather than like where they're going to get the money for rent. It's really good for all the future minor league players.
I think there's going to be a lot more changes. I think it's great for minor leaguers, obviously. The changes that they've already made are amazing. And I think even these changes that they've already made are just kind of like middle ground that they could find with the MLB. And I think progressively they're going to kind of like work their way down the list and then just work it right back up to the top and try to get more closer to what they originally wanted versus just kind of like the middle ground agreement. I think they're just going to constantly try to make it better and better for us, which I love. It's fair. So, I mean, I hope they continue doing what they're doing, and I like what they've done to this point. It's awesome. I think it's just going to keep going.
I mean, it's awesome for us. It pretty much tripled my pay from last year, so that part's really nice. But everybody kind of seems to only think about, we're getting paid a lot more, but it's also we have better insurance now, we have better benefits, better housing, pretty much just better everything. So it's definitely a step in the right direction to where it's long overdue. And obviously I got in the minor leagues at the right time, it seems like. But guys before me and who've been in minor leagues for a while now, they definitely seem to appreciate it a lot more than I guess I would, because I don't know any different, but it seems to really be helping a lot of guys out. So I'm all for it.
So how has baseball affected you in any way?
Well, it was just something to give me those good family memories, to keep my family close. I just remember like my fondest memories is being able to, go to a Twins game with my dad and my grandpa, when I was younger. And then to be able to go when I was a little older and take my dad to the game, pay for it and take him, Father's Day, go see a game. And then now that I have kids, being able to take my kids to the game, even though they're not as passionately into sports and into baseball as I am, but it's still something like I enjoy to be able to take them, kind of just share that family bond and have that, and something that I look back on. Also with baseball, what it did was it was helped me get through some rough times, because I was a military kid. I moved around a lot. I didn't have friends for very long, like Kirby Puckett and baseball and watching the Twins. It was something special to do and to watch, and it really helped get me through those kind of rougher times.
It's been it's life-changing. Not like when I was growing up, it was just like a game to me. I don't know, I played, like my parents both played. My mom was a softball player, my dad was a baseball player, so I've been in baseball forever. Since I could pick something up, they pretty much put something in my hand. So like growing up, it was just a game. Loved it, practiced a lot. I got into coaching in high school. I realized it was not only like a game, but a guidance tool. I get to give back all the knowledge that was given to me and all the stuff that I've learned on my own. I get to give it back to the kids, and it's one of my favorite parts of the game. It's done wonders for me. Like it's kept me active. It's kept me on the right path, kept me in school. I had never thought I'd ever get drafted. I had never even had a college offer until the year I got drafted. So I never expected to just kind of happen. It has its ways. I fell in love with it. And now I'm leaning towards coaching just because I want to continue to help kids. I want to kind of guide them, keep them on the right track. I've seen so many people make some bad decisions when they start to get out of sports and things, and you can teach a lot of life lessons through the game. It's crazy how much it relates. Now I get to look back at life and my career and see all the things that I learned on the field and how it applies off the field. It's just crazy.
Baseball has always been what I am, It's just every day I'm working towards. It's not one day I take off of baseball. I think everybody should have something like that grounds them and keeps them motivated. Baseball, ever since I was 7, just consumed my life. There wasn't a day that I didn't go without it, and benefits my health, like working out every day. It benefits my mentality because baseball is just such a mental game. You got to work on that. But yeah, baseball has benefited me every day since I was 7.
Well, it's been my life. Nowadays, I guess it's gotten me a career, if you want to put it that way. I mean, it's kind of always been the connection that I've had with, friends and family. It's brought so many people into my life and taught me so many life lessons and kind of shaped who I am in the sense of if I want something, I got to work for it no matter what it is. It's just taught me pretty much all like the life lessons, you know what I mean? Like everything kind of applies to baseball and kind of translates to other things. So, I mean, it's shaped me completely. And at this point, it's shaped my family completely too, because I mean, if I'm playing baseball, they're along for the ride because they got to drive me to all these places and kind of fund that whole journey, you know what I mean?
It's definitely a loaded question. It's affected me in a lot of ways. It's something that I deeply enjoy doing. A way for me to relieve stress, but really it's brought me pretty much all the friends I have in my life. I have tons of guys that will be in my wedding one day that I wouldn't have met without baseball. It's what my family loves to watch, and so we tend to always be talking about baseball. I mean, it's affected pretty much just about every part of my life. I mean, now it's my job, and so I get paid to do it, which is nice, but at the same time, I'm just getting paid to play games.
My last question is, what is your plan now that the minor leagues have been unionized?
In the beginning when it first was announced, kind of how, like something I had to think about, kind of had to feel out. But I do think there's still, a need. Maybe it's not as much of a need. And maybe it shifts. Maybe it's more of Latin guys that are going to need the help. There is the raises there, but sometimes, these guys are sending a lot of their money home to take care of their families because they may live in poor areas where, you send all your money home to your family, your parents, take care of everybody. Well, now you don't have much for yourself. So I can still see it because it's still not enough to take care of you and your family. It's enough to kind of take care of you. So I still feel like there's going to be a little bit of a need. Plus, I feel like fans like doing this kind of stuff. So even if it's just, a little less, maybe if it's, if we do a little less a month, but, and maybe we just try to hit more families with kids to just have that bond between the kid and the player, and, hey, just, text them, write them an email or FaceTime this kid for a little bit a month and you'll get $50 in gift cards or something. Build like a little relationship, that kind of stuff. I can still see it work. So yeah, I feel like after this first couple months of the season, spring training, I do feel like we can keep this going.
Do you have anything else to share?
I would think just to point out that I believe that we have now reached roughly 900 sponsorships in our four seasons. We have raised $80,000 person to the player. We have been involved with over $500,000 worth of help that has gone to minor leaguers.
I just wanted to say thank you all again for helping me complete this. And thanks to anyone else who's watching this. I hope you enjoyed it.